In 2015, Pope Francis made headlines across the world. He stood before the United States Congress, the first pope in history to do so, and gave a powerful speech. Instead of focusing on politics, he talked about the poor, about immigrants, about the dignity of work, and about justice for those forgotten by society. Millions of people cheered him as the people's pope. Social media was on fire. But at the same time, critics were outraged. Some said, "Why is the church talking about money and economics? Shouldn't it just stick to preaching the gospel?" Others accused the church of being hypocritical. After all, haven't we all seen those headlines about priests living in luxury or the Vatican's wealth? So here's the conflict. The church preaches about helping the poor, but many people see it as an institution sitting on gold and asking for donations. Therefore, the big question is, what does the church really teach about wealth, money, and social justice? Is it hypocrisy, or is there something deeper here that we often miss? Maybe you've asked this yourself. Maybe you've seen the collection basket at Mass and thought, where is all this money even going? Or maybe you've looked at your own struggles, paying rent, buying food, working long hours, and wondered why the church keeps talking about money at all. I get it. I've been there too. It can feel uncomfortable when faith and finances collide. Here's the thing. Jesus talked about money more than almost any other topic. He said, "You cannot serve both God and mammon." He told the rich young man to sell his possessions and give to the poor. But, and here's where the tension is, money itself is not evil, it's a tool. The problem isn't having wealth. The problem is when wealth has us. Therefore, the church's teaching is not money is bad. It's money must serve, not rule. Wealth is meant to be used for the good of all, not just for personal luxury. A few years ago, photos of Pope Francis riding in a tiny Fiat 500 during his United States trip went viral. People were stunned. Here's the leader of 1.3 billion Catholics, and he's in a car smaller than what most politicians drive. But around the same time, headlines broke about certain televangelists asking their followers for millions to buy private jets for ministry. That contrast made people talk. Some said, "See, the Catholic Church actually gets it. Humility, simplicity." Others argued, "Wait, what about the Vatican's treasures?" Therefore, we have to dig deeper, because appearances alone don't tell the full story. So what does the church actually teach? It boils down to three things. Everything belongs to God. We are stewards, not owners. The poor have a special place. If society forgets them, it fails its purpose. Wealth must serve the common good. That means fair wages, ethical business, and generosity. But this doesn't mean Catholics are called to take a vow of poverty unless they're religious. It means whatever we have, whether little or much, must be used responsibly. Therefore, a billionaire who hoards wealth while workers starve is in grave sin. But a hard-working parent providing for their family with honesty and generosity is living the gospel. If you're Catholic, maybe you've felt torn. You love the church's teaching on serving the poor, but you're embarrassed by scandals of financial mismanagement. You're not alone. We need transparency and accountability, because the church must practice what it preaches. And if you're Protestant or not religious at all, maybe you've accused Catholics of hypocrisy. That's fair. Sometimes we've failed. But don't miss this. Catholic social teaching is one of the most radical, challenging visions of justice the world has ever seen. It doesn't just say, pray and wait for heaven. It says, change systems, defend the poor, make earth reflect God's kingdom. Therefore, whether you're inside or outside the church, this teaching calls all of us to rethink how we see money, power, and responsibility. I'll be honest, I struggle with this too. I love comfort, I like security. But every time I see someone on the street hungry, every time I hear Pope Francis reminding us that the measure of society is how it treats the poor, I realize this isn't optional, this is the heart of the gospel. Therefore, the question isn't just, is the church too rich? The real question is, am I using what God has given me, my money, my time, my gifts, for myself alone, or for the good of others? Because in the end, Jesus won't ask us how much we owned. He'll ask us how much we loved.